Hi grade 6. I hope everybody is doing well. I just wanted to make a quick video to kind of explain how to do this step and how to find out how to do the shading and the shadows, which is kind of tricky. Some of you may already know how to do this, which is awesome, but if you don't, just follow along. So the first thing that I did was I drew a form. So remember, forms are 3D shapes. I chose to do a pyramid. I thought that would work really well for this explanation, but you can choose any form you want. What are some other forms? Rectangles, spheres, hexagons, I don't know, you know better than me. Anyway, so then I chose a specific Thiebaud painting as my inspiration. So I chose the one that's called meringues, and it's just a row and row of pies, like cream-filled pies. So I just put that up in the corner to keep that in my mind. And the first thing that I did, now remember I'm using Procreate because I don't have any art materials with me at the moment. So Procreate is this really cool option where I can just select a color on the screen. So I went ahead and selected the yellow that I wanted for the main color, and then I'm going to color one side of the pyramid. This is going to be the part that's in the light that is the brightest. So this has to be the brightest color. The next color that I want to use is the one that's in the shade. So that one has to be a little bit darker. So I've just gone and changed the yellow to a shade darker, so it makes it look like it's still yellow, but it's shaded. And then the next thing that I want to do is create the shadow. You can see how Wayne Thiebaud creates a nice, it's kind of almost a blue hued shadow. You can see it coming, oops, sorry, I didn't want to, I was trying to select the color. If I put there we go. See how it makes it into like a bluish, yellowish. So it's an interesting shadow color that he uses. It's not just black. And so then I'm going to draw my shadow that doesn't really look like it's in the right place. Let me just think about that again. So if my light is shining on the front of the pyramid, where should my shadow be? It should be at the side, pointing towards the back. So we should also see a shadow coming from the other side. There it is. And you can see, I'm just doing this quickly, but if I had a ruler and I was using a piece of paper, it would be easier, because the one important thing for shadows is they have to line up exactly with the edge. You don't get shadows like past the edge. So that edge has to be really clean. So I'm just going to use my eraser and clean that part up. Make it nice and straight with the edge, okay? All right, so I'm going to move on to my second shape. I think I'm going to choose the pink color. So I have to choose the pure color for the first side, and this is the side that is going to be in the light, essentially, so it's going to be the brightest color. I'm using like a tool called Oriental Brush, so it does kind of look painty. So if you are painting, you might be able to do the same effect. So now from that color, I just want to go a little bit darker so it's more in shade. So this is my shaded pink. And then after I'm done that, I want to add my shadow, and I'm going to try and get that same bluish shadowy color that Thiebaud uses. So it's not just black, it's got like a bluish tinge to it. And again, I need to add it from this side, but I also need to add the shadow coming in from the other side of the pyramid. And then, what do I have to do? Because I'm not very clean with my lines. Yeah, you can't have a shadow sticking out in front of the pyramid. So I need to make sure that those lines are nice and clean. Okay, so what should I do my third color with? I think maybe the green. What is that, like a key lime pie? It must be. Lemon pie. What's the pink one? Is that like berry? I don't even know. What would it be? I don't know what the berry cream pie, maybe strawberry cream? Oh, maybe it's strawberry cream. Lemon pie is my favorite. Lemon meringue. Oh my god, I love that lemon, but I'm not a big fan of the pink one. I don't know what that is. Okay, so sorry, I'm just thinking of pies now. I'm all distracted. So again, choose the same color but a little bit darker. Now, if you don't have all of these beautiful colors with you, how can you make a darker shade? You can use two colors. You can use the color of the first color, and then you can lightly color over it with a light, like with a gray or a black, lightly, not very dark, so it just shades it. So that's another way you can add shades. So here I'm trying to get a shadow. And then for your shadow is going to be, in Thiebaud's case, Thiebaud's style is to have a shadow that is bluer than the shade. So it's the same color, but it's got a blue tinge to it. So you could try and make Thiebaud's shadows with your same color as your first color, like the green, and then add a blue and a little bit of black on top if you're doing it with pencil crayons. Okay, so Thiebaud has a really cool effect in that when you look up close, you're kind of like, huh, why is it blue? But if you look from, oops, sorry, if you look from far away, it actually looks really dramatic. And I love the shade on the side of the pyramids. So the two different colors from the color in the light to the ones with the shade are the same color, just a little bit darker. Um, my shadows are not, now that I'm looking at it, my shadows aren't terribly good because they're all different colors, so I might want to work on that, but you get the idea. So what I'm just going to do right now is I'm just going to show you some examples of some other forms. So the first one I'm going to show you is, what is it? It's a rectangle. So this iMovie is a little bit strange because it cuts off the top of my screen, but I think you can see enough. So the rectangle, is that a rectangle or it's a cube, right? Sorry. So the cube is a little bit more tricky because it's not just the light side. So this is the side of the pure color from the lemon. This is the lemon meringue color from the pie. So, and then we have the shaded side, which is on the side away from the light. But then we have a new side, which is at the top, which is actually going to be lighter than the light side, because that the top part is in more light, right? It's closer to the light. So that has to be a highlight. That has to be even more lighter than the main color. So as you can see in Procreate, I just slid my color selector just a little bit lighter. So I have a highlight up there. Hard to see on this screen, I apologize, but I think you can get the idea. I'm trying to paint it nicely because I'm using this brush tool and it blends the edges. And because the highlight is quite light, I don't want to have like the black outline blended. Okay, and so then when I'm done my highlight, I'm going to take my shadow. So I have to do my shadow. Okay, so I have to think for a minute. Is the light coming from this direction? If the light is coming from the front, then my shadow will be out the back. Is that where I want my shadow? No, that I don't think I want my shadow there. I think that looks really strange. I think the light will actually be coming from above. Wouldn't the light be coming from up above, shining on the top, right? Doesn't that make more sense? Because I made the highlight at the top. So therefore, it would be the same as the pyramids. So the shadow would be pushing out to the side. So it would be connecting the side very carefully to the side of the cube, but also the back of the cube will also have some connection. So play around with your shadows. You know what looks right. Also confusing with shadows is that the time of day, like if you're, or the light source in your house is going to make your shadows longer or shorter. So look at how Thiebaud does his shadows. Okay, so I'm just going to do a sphere for you because the sphere is probably the most simple and most confusing at the same time. So you just start with a circle. So the shape is the circle, the form is the sphere. And there is no lines to define it. Like you can't use lines to make it look 3D. It's all in shading. So the first thing you do is choose your main color and you have to shade it. Remember, if you color it in a circular motion, it looks more rounded. So you can start by coloring it more rounded and so that's your pure color. And then the next thing you have to do is add your shading, but there's no side to add your shading, so you actually kind of have to shade around the curve of the circle from the bottom curving up to the middle. And depending upon how much shade you want, like how late in the afternoon is it, how dark is your room, you add more shade at the bottom coming up to the middle. Now you can see where my light is coming from. It's coming from the top of the sphere. So then if the light is coming from the top of the sphere, I know where I'm going to put my shadow. So my shadow is going to be on the left side of my sphere. Now, am I going to put it away from my sphere so my sphere is floating in the sky? That would be cool. But this one's kind of like on the ground, so I'm going to put my shadow at the side underneath the circle. Does that work? And then there's one more thing I have to add to my sphere to make it look even more 3D. I have to add a highlight to the part where the light is hitting right at the top. Okay, so I hope that gave you some ideas of what to do and how to figure it out. Give it your best shot, and let me see what you can do.